Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, weighing in at 250 pounds from Coldwater, Michigan, he is a three-time Ultimate Fighting Championship. He holds over 90 wrestling titles throughout the U.S. and over the world. He is one of the longest reigning NWA World Heavyweight Champions of all time, and he finds himself in the unusual role of challenger this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan the Beast Severn! Ladies and gentlemen, introducing, weighing in at 245 pounds from Japan, he is a former silver medalist in the Olympics in the sport of judo. He holds many international judo championships, and most importantly, he is the National Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight Champion, which he won from this man, Dan Severn. He is Naoya Ogawa! This bout is one fall with a 30-minute time limit for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Red Dog is the Texas Heavyweight Champion and a top contender for the world title. Tonight is his night.
Woodworth in a long time. The title match, the one that we've been waiting for. Ogawa, the new champion, takes on Dan the Beast Severn. And you think about some of the exciting men and big-time stars that have held this NWA World Heavyweight title, one of the biggest belts in professional wrestling today. And it's Ogawa against the former champion, Dan the Beast Severn. This one should be a dandy. And you'll see a lot of wrestling moves in this one, Johnny T.
Well, Tommy Daniels, we've got men here with a boatload of credentials. Of course, we're talking about Dan the Beast Severn in the black tights, Naoya Ogawa in the white judo outfit. Ogawa is the current World Heavyweight Champion. He took that title off of Dan Severn March 14th at the Yokohama Arena in front of 10,000 fans in Japan. And Severn got his chance tonight in Fort Worth, Texas for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is a huge match, Tommy Daniels.
And having the privilege to call it for you here tonight right in Fort Worth. Well, as you can imagine, all the wrestlers on tonight's card are out here watching this match, watching this title match here tonight. And could we have a title change this evening?
Well, Dan Severn definitely wants that title back. And if there is anyone who can get that title off of Ogawa, it's Dan the Beast Severn. Ogawa with a front mount onto Severn. We're going to see a large number of holds from both these men. Both men acclimated in wrestling, in judo, and other various martial arts, and also pro wrestling. And this is going to be just a treat, Tommy Daniels.
And you mentioned, Johnny T, one fall with a 30-minute time limit here tonight for the World Heavyweight Championship in the NWA. Something that you don't get to see very often right here in your own backyard, a world title defense right before your very eyes. And both wrestlers really sticking to those scientific wrestling moves, as both are trying just somehow to find some kind of a maneuver or some kind of a hold to put the other one in a inopportune position, and so far neither one has been able to capitalize.
Well, in order to get our fans a little bit familiar, as we're going to see a lot of submission wrestling in this bout, first of all, before I go on. Both men very acclimated at submission holds. It's kind of the calling card of either man. In fact, Dan Severn, when he lost that world title in Yokohama, Japan, he lost it to a judo chokehold, arm and leg grapevine. Ogawa calls it the SOS and made Severn tap out to win that title.
As you mentioned, a fighting champion, Dan the Beast Severn. He hails from the great state of Michigan, and he has wrestled some of the big names in this sport today, and he's very, very honored to have him here tonight in Fort Worth, the challenger for his belt, as he called it earlier, the belt that he hopes to reclaim tonight right here at the Texas Indoor Arena.
Well, I just feel chills here with this title belt sitting in front of us, the classic 10 pounds of gold, the same belt held by Lou Thesz, Harley Race, Dory Funk. This same title is on the line here tonight. Now, to tell you a little bit about Ogawa at ringside with Kazunori Murakami. That's the man at ringside with him who is also a wrestler. You see UFO on his t-shirt. Ogawa is with the UFO, the Universal Fighting Arts Organization, an NWA member. Their office is based out of Los Angeles, but they do most of their events out of Japan. And Antonio Inoki, a former NWA World Champion,
oh yes,
as
great.
they exchange kicks. The great Inoki is the man who started the Universal Fighting Arts Organization, the UFO, and he is the mentor of Ogawa.
As you see around ringside, we have some Japanese photographers that are here tonight, obviously taking photo shots of this big title match. And I tell you what, Johnny, this is just, you don't really stop and think about this, but what a privilege we have here tonight to call this match. I mean, this is obviously the biggest match of my career that I've ever called or been a part of, and, glad we could do it here tonight in Fort Worth in front of this big capacity crowd at the Texas Indoor Arena.
Well, Tommy Daniels, what you say is true. Jimmy Suzuki, a world-acclaimed wrestling photographer at ringside on the tour with Ogawa. And Ogawa, what a bout. One thing I want to mention before we get too hot and heavy into this match, as both men tie up again, is that Ogawa, I think, Severn has a really good chance of winning the title because Ogawa's kind of looking past this match, I think. As a matter of fact, he called this bout before going into it, this tour he's doing of the U.S., a warm-up for the big Pride 6 show upcoming in Tokyo and UFO events. He called it a warm-up.
Well, there's been over the years, a lot of wrestlers that have gone back and forth from Japan to the United States. A couple that come to mind. One guy in particular, Terry Bam Bam Gordy, who will be coming up at our Bronco Bowl show in just a matter of a week. And also, you think about Steve Dr. Death Williams, who has had many, many successful years wrestling over in Japan. One of the big name stars, as a matter of fact, over in Japan, Steve Dr. Death Williams.
Well, that's very true. And I think we're going to see a lot of technical judo holds put on here that, frankly, we probably won't be able to call. So we apologize to any judo purists out there as if we miss a few of the technical names of the holds. Because both these guys are great technicians, Tommy Daniels, and very good at what they do. And Severn puts Ogawa in some type of trying to get a pinning combination.
You think about some of the big name stars from Japan, Mr. Saito, Mr. Fuji, of course, a very popular name. But when it comes to wrestling fans over the years, there's been some big name stars that have made their stop right here in Fort Worth, Texas, back at the old Will Rogers Coliseum and the Northside Coliseum in the late 70s, early to mid 80s. Several big name stars from around the globe have starred right here in Fort Worth. We think about names like the great Kabuki, who held many, many titles in Fort Worth, including the American and Texas Heavyweight Championship belt. Several big name stars from Mexico. It's always great to have the international stars make a stop right here in the Metroplex.
Well, that's true, Tommy Daniels. And another distinction I want to make on Ogawa, Naoya Ogawa, the champion in the black tights, not to be confused with another star in Japan for our international the fans who follow wrestling internationally, Yoshinara Ogawa, who's the All Japan PWF Junior Heavyweight Champion. That's a different Ogawa. This is Naoya Ogawa, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, associated with the Universal Fighting Arts Organization.
And as you can see, the very young man, Ogawa, obviously a young man in his early to mid-20s, very, very young star in our professional sport today.
He was a 1992 silver medalist at the Olympics in judo, won Ogawa. Referee Rick Manning, a man who's very familiar in the role of referee in a world title match in the National Wrestling Alliance, calling the action here this evening. And you both men have to feel comfortable with a fair man such as Rick Manning in the ring.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, referee Rick Manning has officiated some of the big matches, including a world title match right here in Fort Worth, Dallas, Fort Worth, back a few years ago. And now
Dan Severn not releasing Ogawa from the ropes.
And finally, the Beast is able to get a little leverage here and take over a little bit of this match, as he's been on the receiving end for the last several minutes from Ogawa. Referee Rick Manning is warning both wrestlers to get out of the ropes, trying to keep things inside the ring, inside the squared circle, and a 3 count, and Rick Manning trying to get both guys who are about to fall outside of the ring.
Well, Dan Severn will not release that grip on Ogawa, and Ogawa wearing those gloves that he wears for competition in the Universal Fighting Arts Organization in this match.
And a 9 count.
We have a 20 count in the National Wrestling Alliance for the action to come back into the ring. And Rick Manning doesn't want to end the match that way. Nobody wants to see, Tommy Daniels, this match end by count out. So Rick Manning kind of stopped his count there, but nobody wants to see it end, 8 minutes into the bout in a double count out. We want to see a winner out of this one.
Well, once again, referee Rick Manning up near the danger count. He's up to 15, and now he'll go outside of the ring. Like you mentioned, he does not want to see this one end in a double count out.
Yeah, exactly. The eyes of the world are on the Texas Indoor Arena in Fort Worth, North Richland Hills proper, Texas tonight. And, we don't want to see it end that way. And a smart move by Rick Manning, and I applaud Rick Manning for what he just did there.
And both grapplers now trying to get a maneuver on, and once again they go back down to the floor.
I'm going to stand up.
And we are not really at a vantage point here where we can see what's going on, but obviously both men are down on the ground. Referee Rick Manning is also out there starting his count. Amongst the many ringside fans, photographers, security folks.
10 minutes expired in this bout, 20 minutes remain in the time limit. 10 minutes expired, 20 minutes remain in the time limit.
It's a 1-fall, 30-minute time limit to a finish here in this National Wrestling Alliance title match. And finally, Severn back up in the ring.
And listen to the fans applaud. Very methodical, slow-paced matchup. This is what we're going to see. This is what we saw in the first matchup between these two that you all saw on NWA Southwest Wrestling just a few weeks ago.
Boy, look at how great of shape Ogawa is in. Not 1 ounce of fat on that body at all.
All right, and now we got the classic USA chant going. Great. Maybe the fans don't know that we're not at war with Japan.
Well, obviously the fans remember and have seen Dan the Beast Severn, one of the popular stars in the WWF, and very glad to have him here tonight, wrestling as, of course, the challenger for the National Wrestling Alliance heavyweight title. Johnny, hold up that belt once if you could. Maybe we can get one of our cameras here in a moment to focus in on this title belt that we've got. This very beautiful National Wrestling Alliance, and maybe we can get one of the cameramen to come over here in a minute and get a shot of this very beautiful belt. In the meantime, nice takedown by Ogawa, and he's going to see if he can maneuver him over for a pin. Referee Rick Manning, well, as you can see, the shoulders are not pinned to the mat. Ogawa trying
Once again, the mount by Ogawa. And Severn wriggles his way out of it. Again, I'm going to apologize to the purists out there on not being able to call a lot of the technical names of the holds in this bout.
And referee Rick Manning now asking Dan the Beast Severn if he will submit, and he says no way.
And a stand-up by both men. Severn drives in with the kick. Gets him over with the gut-wrench suplex. Really probably the first standard pro wrestling maneuver we've seen in this bout.
Well, I tell you what, if you were scoring this one at home, Ogawa seemed to have had, at least for the majority of this match, he seemed to have things going his way. However, from time to time, we've seen the Beast kind of break out just a little bit and gain the momentum for a few minutes. But obviously, Severn, Johnny, is having his problems here with Ogawa.
Well, definitely Tommy Daniels. I mean, Ogawa's the champ. He's the man right now. And the difference here, Tommy, a count out.
And referee Rick Manning did not want to have this happen, but he could not keep both wrestlers inside the ring.
Let me go see if I can get a decision, Tommy Daniels.
All right. And referee Rick Manning is explaining to Severn.
Probably a controversial decision, but I don't think Rick Manning had any choice. It would not get back in the ring. Rick Manning would talk about it several occasions.
Here we go again. And Severn obviously is upset, not happy with that decision, but referee Rick Manning did not have a choice here but to count out both wrestlers. It's a double DQ. Ogawa will retain the NWA World Heavyweight Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Rick Manning has ruled this bout a double count out. Therefore, still champion is Ogawa. This bout a double count out.
Well, the fans are not happy. As you can hear the chant of USA. Well,
ladies and gentlemen, we have a 5-minute overtime period.
Well, it appears referee Rick Manning has said, all right, guys, I'll give you 5 minutes. And being one of the senior officials in the NWA, Rick Manning does have the power to do that, so he has given them 5 more minutes. Not many officials have the power to extend this, but being one of the senior officials in the National Wrestling Alliance, Rick Manning made a decision here on the spot and gave these guys 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes, Tommy Daniels. This is what everybody wanted to see. We want to try and see some type of conclusive finish on this. We definitely didn't want to see a count out in this bout. We've got 5 more minutes. Both men really going for the attack a lot more because they know they don't have 30 minutes to get the win. They've only got 5 minutes to try and get the gold. And really, the disadvantage is to Severn because all Ogawa has to do is hang on and he keeps the title. Severn has to beat Ogawa. That's the difference.
Obviously so, and we've seen that many, many times. If you remember back when Harley Race was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, one of the reasons why Harley Race held on to that belt so long. Harley Race was a genius and a mastermind at keeping that match going as long as he possibly could. He took many, many matches to a draw.
And you know, Ogawa, a man trained by Antonio Inoki, is going to have been taught all the tools he needs to keep that championship, as Inoki was so good at doing himself. And boy, Severn's really got to take the fight to Ogawa if he wants to walk away with that title.
Severn is trying to stretch that leg out of Ogawa. Ogawa holding on to the bottom rope. Referee Rick Manning is yet to start his count. Now both wrestlers back on the floor again.
Well, they're outside the ring again, and Rick Manning is counting. I guess, you know, honestly,
I don't think Johnny T, I don't think he's going to give him 5 more minutes on this one. They better get back in the ring if they want a decision tonight here.
Well, he gave him about 3 times where he got up to about 17 and stopped the count and said, hey, take it back in the ring. Did that about 3 times, and finally, what could he do but count him out?
And we're getting up in the count again. Once again, referee Rick Manning is close to calling this one a double DQ.
It's all,
or double count out, excuse me.
I guess they just can't keep it in the ring.
Wait a minute, Ogawa's up.
Ogawa's touching the rope.
Now Severn back in.
Dan Severn's in. Neither of these competitors.
2.5 minutes remain. 2.5 minutes remain.
We're down to 2.5 minutes in the overtime period, Tommy Daniels.
And
Severn has taken the fight to him, and he's got to do it.
Severn has got Ogawa up against that bottom rope, and he's trying to somehow come up with some kind of a hold, some kind of a maneuver. Referee Rick Manning now over there trying to make sure that things are all legal. Ogawa.
Now Severn's got him in the ropes. Severn's kind of, he gets him in the ropes, he hangs on to him. He gets him outside the ring, he hangs on to him. Severn's gonna like cost himself the title if he keeps wrestling like this. This is not no holds barred fighting. This is not mixed martial arts fighting. It's pro wrestling, and you have to break in the ropes. You have to get in the ring before the 20 count.
And we're coming up here on about 2 minutes or less to go in this match.
1.5 minutes remain in this overtime period. 90 seconds remain.
And there you hear a minute and a half to go here in this NWA World Heavyweight title match.
Naoya Ogawa, the champion from Japan. Dan the Beast Severn, the challenger. We're down to 1 minute.
1 minute remains. 1 minute remains.
And you can hear the crowd chanting USA, really getting behind Dan the Beast Severn here.
Well, there's no way Severn has Ogawa worn down enough to get him in a submission hold at this point, I wouldn't think. Because the match just hasn't gone that long. We're almost down to 30 seconds, Tommy Daniels.
And you see both men just trying to get a maneuver.
30 seconds remain. 30 seconds remain.
Oh, and Dan Severn gets a 2 count there, but the rope of Ogawa, or the leg of Ogawa is over that bottom rope.
Oh, there's no way Severn's gonna, in 20 seconds to go, I just don't think Severn can get the job done in that short of time.
15 seconds. 15 seconds.
And now you're gonna see both wrestlers go for that maneuver.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we have a draw here in the extra 5 minutes given to both wrestlers. A 5-minute extra period given. And the winner will be Ogawa, I guess you could say, because he will retain the belt. It'll be a draw, but Ogawa will retain his belt.
Ladies and gentlemen, the restart of the match with the 5-minute time limit went to that time limit. This match is a draw, therefore,
Still champion, Ogawa!
Retains the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Dan the Beast Severn, oh so close to getting his title back, but not this time. World champion Ogawa, your winner here by default, I guess you would say. And the crowd chants USA. We'll be back with more